Welcome to Between the Covers TV. I'm Stephanie Larkin, author, book coach and developer, and head penguin of Red Penguin Books, a publishing company for authors of all genres and types. Whether you have a manuscript all ready to go or a book somewhere inside just dying to get out, unleash your inner author and call us at redpenguinbooks.com. I'd love to thank our sponsors who make our show possible. Don Pablo Coffee. My second favorite drink next to wine is coffee, and Don Pablo Coffee, each bean is hand-selected so you never get a bad cup. Also, Joe Faullisi Law Firm. It's a law firm and accounting firm all rolled into one. So whatever the problem is, he can take care of it. Call Joe at Joe Faullisi Law Firm. And thank you so much for joining us. And please welcome, we are so excited to have with us author Dawn Marini. Yoo! Hey, Dan, come on out. Woo!
Thank you.
Dan, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Nice to
Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for writing such a fabulous book. I got to read it. It's not even my genre, and I liked it.
Well, it's fantastic.
You know, and if you can get somebody who it's not even their kind of thing, you know, people who like that kind of thing are going to be all over that. But I am thrilled that you're here. But before we get to your book, we have been asking people on Facebook to please share the show, share the video, and they are. They are sharing it, so we are getting thousands and thousands of viewers going on. So I had promised that I was going to put all the names of the people who shared. Facebook did not make this easy. I had to literally take every single, go to the shares and grab all the names, and I put them here in a hat, and the lucky winner is going to get a free copy of one of our author's books today. So would you see who our lucky winner is today?
Okay. Surely. Okay. Rudy J. Breedy.
Rudy
J. Breedy.
Rudy is getting a free copy. Well, you know, Rudy has his own show here at Strong Island Television, and I believe he's going to be in later on. I'm going to see what book he wants. We're dying to get Rudy reading, so thank you so much. So how did you get involved in writing?
Well, originally I was an English major in college. I was started as a biology major and was involved in very large lecture classes, and I found the literature classes were very small, much more intimate, and I just kind of gravitated towards English, and I gravitated towards writing. So while an undergraduate in college, I probably took about 60 or 70 credits. I was really kind of taking graduate level courses as an undergraduate, and writing has always been my love. It's just taken me a very, very long time to get really published and get actually write a book. This particular book took about 3 years writing after work at night.
Making, huh?
Yep.
Terrific. Wait, hold your book so everyone can see this book. And you do have to pronounce that last word for me. What's the title?
Okay, it's called The Road to Chapultepec Park.
Chapultepec. Okay, Chapultepec Park.
Yes.
Now that's a real place.
Chapultepec Park is a place, as Central Park is to New York City, Chapultepec Park is to Mexico City.
Okay.
So the main characters in the story, they're going on a quest actually to find sanctuary in Mexico City, in the park, actually the Chapultepec Park, which is a sanctuary for Americans that are trying to escape the cold zone that's in the U.S.
Right. So there was a weather issue.
Kind of like there's a weather issue.
There's a weather issue in there, yes.
Weather issue. This is actually an interesting genre because it's kind of a new genre in science fiction. It's what they call cli-fi, climate change science fiction.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And there's a number of books and are written in this genre right now. This might be one of maybe 30 different books.
Wow.
So
I had no idea. So now that I've read my first book in cli-fi, is that what you called it?
It's cli-fi.
Cli-fi.
Yes. Mr. Bloom, kind of a writer, author himself, came up with that word.
I like it. Now Dan's an English major, so he's read every book under the sun. We have a little game for our viewers to see if they can name a particular book quote. Now, last week, no one called in with the author of our book quote. I don't know if you know this one. I shouldn't put you on the spot.
Okay.
But last week's quote was, "My advice is never do tomorrow what you can do today. Procrastination is the thief of time." No, too hard. It's actually from David Copperfield by Charles Dickens.
Oh.
So I went easier this week. I was toying with To Be or Not to Be. I was toying with Romeo, oh Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? I said, no, our audience is smarter than that. So here's the phone number, and if you know what this quote is from, please give us a call at 516-945-9099. And our book quote for today is, "Not all those who wander are lost." You can't tell us. Because you could probably see my notes here, so you can't tell us. Not all those who wander are lost. So let's see if any of our viewers know that book quote. The number is 516-945-9099. If you know the author, the book of that quote, you are going to get a free copy of one of these books here today. So please give us a call. We're going to hear from our sponsors, and I'm going to ask Dan for a little bit of an autograph so I can have a book here to read. Thanks so much.
Me llaman Dan Pablo y hace más de 20 años me enamoré de una colombiana. Viajé a su país y conocí un estilo de café muy distinto, muy especial. Ahora tostamos cafés excelentes, con alturas y microclimas diferentes, resultado en una taza muy compleja y muy rica, un sabor nuevo en el mundo. Fue un éxito. And I even got to keep the girl.
A book, either in your head or on your desk, just waiting to get out to anxious readers? Hi, I'm Stephanie Larkin, author, book developer, and head penguin at Red Penguin Books. We're a publishing company specializing in books of all genres and publishing in all formats, including digital, audible, and print books. From business books to romance, memoirs to mysteries, our authors have complete control over their books from start to print. We'll help get your book to booksellers all around. Major booksellers such as Amazon, Apple, Kobo, Walmart, even libraries and bookstores around the world. We believe in our authors. So call or email today to get your free publisher's packet to get started. Just visit us at redpenguinbooks.com and get your book out there and into the hands of your readers. At Red Penguin Books, you call all the shots. So call us today and turn your dreams into a reality.
Me llaman Dan Pablo.
Welcome back! Welcome back to Between the Covers. I'm sitting here with Dan Mariani, the author of The Road to Chapultepec Park. And I just said to Dan, I read the book, but I read it on a digital. You know, you had sent it to me and I read it on a digital, which I love the convenience of digital, but there's really nothing like holding the book in my hand. And now that I'm holding the book in my hand, I see my favorite character, the dog Sam. Okay, if you like dogs. This is a dog. Now, I have a Havanese. This is a Maltese. The Maltese in this book is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. In fact, isn't he a little bit like genetically engineered to be brilliant?
Yes, he's bioengineered to withstand cold temperatures in the book.
And smart, too.
And smart.
And really, really smart. I have a Havanese. It looks just like this, except she's a moron. She really is a moron. I love her dearly. My husband tells me she's really not that dumb. She's really that dumb. But very smart. But we love her. But we love her. So, you know, in the book, it's a cold zone. Okay, I'm always cold. So when I was reading the book, I was like, get out of the cold zone. Get out of the cold zone. What inspired you?
Well, there's actually some science that, you know, not everyone is totally aware of, but that global cooling can kind of counterintuitively cause global cooling. And so I took some of that science
Right, right.
and I gathered it and I kind of put it in a fictionalized story. And this is what came out of it, where people, the whole United States is a cold zone, where it's extreme, there's snow, and everyone's trying to move to warmer temperatures.
That would be
And,
me. I
yeah.
would be moving to the
Yeah.
warmer temperatures. I agreed with them. Now,
But people in the cold zone almost live like in the death zone. So
Right.
the United States is kind of transformed into a vast wasteland. There's all these prison camps. It's very dystopian.
Yeah.
People who've read the book tell me it's a little bit like, I don't know if you've ever read The Snowpiercer.
oh, okay.
Or
No.
it's really a graphic comic book.
Oh.
But it's kind of the Snowpiercer mated with The Revenant and The Road all together.
Oh, okay.
So,
Now, you know, you did your research because there's a
Yeah.
lot of science in there.
Right.
And you've obviously done your research. Should I be worried? Like, is this going to happen? Tell me honestly.
It's one of many options. It's
Okay.
definitely a possibility. It's definitely a possibility because actually the oceans move kind of the warmth around the globe.
Right.
And right now, some of the oceans, some of the underground underwater currents are kind of being short-circuited. And if those currents aren't moving, then they're not really moving the warmth from the equator out to the globe.
I think we have a caller.
Okay.
Do we have a caller who knows the answer to our quote?
Hello, is this your caller?
Is that my caller there?
I am your caller.
Hi. Well, hello. Welcome to Between the Covers.
Thank you. It's great being here.
And do you know the answer to our book quote?
Well, I would like to think so. I am pretty sure that quote is Gandalf the Grey in J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings.
Ooh, Gandalf the Grey from J.R.R. Tolkien. I believe you are correct. I think we got a winner here. Thank you. All right, what's your name?
John.
Nice to meet you, John. Thank you for calling in. Can you do me a favor and in the comments for the show, just let me know where I am sending your prize-winning book, and also you're going to be seeing all of our authors here today. If you want to even put in the comments if you have a personal request for which book you would like to receive. Can you do that?
That sounds great. I can very much do that.
Terrific. Okay, so put that in the show comments, and then I'll contact you and get a book out to you immediately. Thanks for calling. And now I
Thanks
know
for
that
having
this
me.
week's question was definitely easier. I didn't have to go as far as to be or not to be.
Yep.
Thank God for that. I was afraid we really had to water it down. Well, as a complete opposite of Dan's book, which is, you know, dystopian, what could happen in a worst case scenario, our next author is a little more of what can happen in a best case scenario. Because in Cassandra's book, Cassandra Dallas. Woo! All right, so we go from the bad news to the good news. I love that.
This is good news.
Did I sum it up here? Hold your book for a second so people can see. Did I sum it up? Somebody meets someone on a plane and...
That's right. And Dan's book, which I've read, which is wonderful, is a dystopia book. And
Yes.
my book is a utopia book.
Oh, yes.
I came up with a slogan for the book: sex, and the city is Amsterdam.
Yeah.
And it's not, all this is not my fault. I just blame it on Amsterdam.
Now, have you been to Amsterdam?
I have been to Amsterdam. My friend and I, several years ago, we planned to see the tulips and the museums, and I took a look at the concierge at the hotel, and I said, oh my God. and it's a wonderful walking city and a very romantic city. The canals and the people are friendly. And
So you had your own Amsterdam romance there.
well,
She reserves the right to keep quiet on certain things.
and when I got home, I have my pen in hand. With this pen, I started writing.
Oh,
a
that
book.
is that exact pen?
Well, you know. I on the plane on the way home, I started writing.
Did you really?
And,
a trip to Amsterdam, and you started writing the book right away.
And then I said, well, I have to go back
Yeah.
by myself.
And do research.
And I did. I went back. And I, it was just wonderful. It was just a wonderful experience to tell everybody in the city of Amsterdam that I'm writing a romantic novel about your city.
Did you
that
get all
takes place
sorts of people stopping and say, write about me, write about me?
Well, the last night I was there, I had been to a Indonesian restaurant several times and got friendly with the
It was an Indonesian restaurant.
with the wait staff, and one of the women there said, have you been to the red light district? And I said, no. And she said, you have to be kidding. I am taking off work early. I'll meet you at your hotel. And she did. And we walked through the red light district. And if you're writing a book about Amsterdam, you have to
go.
You have to include it. So it's it's a sexy novel with some.
Oh, it's a sexy novel. As I fan myself with a dystopian novel.
You need to warm up after
Yeah, that's a cold. That's a cold.
That's a cold book.
wave
That's
there.
a hot book over there, I gotta tell you.
A friend of mine said, I love this, she said, if everyone behaved like they do in your book, there'd be no time for war. So it's a very...
I like that. Well, let's do that. Let's do that. Well, I love the idea of going to a foreign city and sitting there in the piazza or wherever and saying, I'm writing a romance and just doing book research. I love that.
And I actually decided to put a German castle
Yes,
in
yes,
the
they went to
book,
Germany
too.
and the lake.
So I took a train from Amsterdam to Dusseldorf, and it was emotional for me because, my phone said to me, you are now in Germany, and I just started to cry. And but then I cheered up and met some wonderful people there, and so that was nice too. It was
That
a
is so exciting.
nice
Wow.
experience.
It's funny. I work with a lot of authors, and I always try to give them a sense of the adventure of writing a book because, sometimes it's not easy. I mean, it's certainly not easy to write a book. But if you treat it as an adventure, and I love what you did there, because the research and the fun, even if someone's writing a nonfiction book, as many of my own author clients are, they're writing, nonfiction business books sometimes or for a particular, niche that they're doing. But let's make it into a life adventure because it can be so much fun. And I love hearing that it's not just about, the book is great. Holding a finished book in your hand, there's nothing like it. But beyond the book, the whole story, the airplane, starting to write, going back, being on the train. Wow.
Yeah, and it's funny because some funny things happen to friends and they tell me about it, and then I was putting everything in the book. My friend's like, really? I'm on page 3.
Now, I did read the book, and it's quite the sexy little read there. Is there anybody that you can't tell that you wrote this book?
Is there anybody I can't tell?
That you wrote this book?
Well, I'm writing under a pen name.
So there's lots of people she's not telling. In other words, this is not what she really looks like in person either.
Well, it's sort of my, if you will, my coming out party.
Okay.
It's just Cassandra in public.
Oh,
so thank you.
I am
Thank you
very
for that, Stephanie.
honored to be the first one to host Cassandra in public. I love that.
But I did do research for the book because there's some legal things that I wanted to include, and some historical things. So so I did that. But more or less it wrote itself.
Now, I have never been to Amsterdam, and now I am dying to go to Amsterdam after reading this book. Do you have another book in the works, maybe on another foreign city?
I have another book in the works. It starts off in the United States, pre-World War II, and in Charleston, actually. And then we go into, as so many authors have written about World War II. And so I'm going to Poland in the summer.
Ooh, Poland! I've never been there either. So I'm going to have all these places to visit after I read your books.
Because one of my main characters.
Because with all due respect to Dan, I don't want to go where his book was.
Mexico City?
I mean,
It's
an interesting
beautiful.
place.
Mexico City, yes, but the way it looked in the book was not
well.
necessarily what.
Yes, I
Yes,
got it.
you know what I mean?
got it.
Yes,
I got
Mexico City, and it started near San Antonio,
Right.
and I love San Antonio too, but I've been there. It was much nicer than you wrote about it. That's okay. That's okay. I get that. You know, that's why we have lots and lots of different book genres. Well, we are so lucky tonight. We have not just one, not just two, but three authors with us. So we're just going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, welcome our third author guest. Thanks so much.
The sun is getting warmer, but when we soar away among the clouds, the sky is just a border. But when we're floating up like helium.
Me llaman Dan Pablo y hace más de 20 años me enamoré de una colombiana. Viajé a su país y conocí un estilo de café muy distinto, muy especial. Ahora tostamos cafés excelentes, con alturas y microclimas diferentes, resultado en una taza muy compleja y muy rica, un sabor nuevo en el mundo. Fue un éxito. And I even got to keep the girl.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Between the Covers. Oh my gosh, we have such a range of authors with us today. From Dan, who's got us worried about the future, but loving that dog, and Cassandra with what we should do now in the moment, just in case the climate does change. Let's live for the moment. And please welcome author Mike Mattel. Woo! If I tried to pick three authors of completely three different genres, I could not have done a better job. Because here, this is Mike's book. You want to hold that up so everyone can see? And you have to tell me, because I've been reading it and I'm like, wow.
What's wrong with me?
It's like everywhere. It's everywhere. I also I caught there was a little reference to The Great Gatsby in there, and that's our book that we're going to be discussing.
Yes,
So,
yes.
you know, I was loving that. I was like, ooh, I picked the right book by picking Gatsby. But tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us about the book.
Well, I guess I've been writing since I was a teenager, which is almost like 10 years now. That's my standard joke. That's my standard
Are you
joke.
that old? 10 years?
But I started writing, I guess, in high school. When I was younger, I didn't like writing when I was in grammar school and
did?
all that. Right? I hated writing. But then I had a teacher in high school who made writing fun. I just remember one assignment where we were reading Poe, and he asked us to do a scene, to write a scene that gets a mood, write a scene that gets a mood. And I just once I did that, I just enjoyed that, and from that point on, I just started writing, basically just for myself, notebooks and whatever. And it was only recent, the last couple of years, I decided that I put together the stuff that I've been writing over close to 40 years now of writing. I said, what am I going to do with it? I had a few poems published at one point in my life, and I had some, I sent stuff out to be published in various publications and got some nice rejections, but rejections nonetheless. And then I kind of put it all to the side, and I kept writing, but I didn't really pursue publishing it until the dawn of indie publishing. And I said, you know what have I got to lose? So I decided to put this together and get it published. And it's just a compilation of short stories and
Song lyrics.
song lyrics and poetry. So it's
It's a
got
lot
something
of
for
fun.
everyone, right?
It's a lot of fun. Absolutely, it's a lot of fun, and it's all short vignettes, which is great.
Correct. So it's an easy read. You can put it down after reading one of them, and you
Right,
don't have
right.
to commit a lot of time to it. So.
Well, it's interesting. There was something I meant to ask Dan, and now that you're mentioning the shortness, your book doesn't have chapters. Well, it has. It has 3 chapters.
Right.
And chapter 2 is approximately 300 pages long.
Well, we won't say it was that long, but
It
that was done on purpose.
I know.
That wasn't done because people say, why don't you have chapters? Because most books these days, they kind of give you little sound bites.
Right.
You read like 3 or 4 pages, and then boom, you're on to something else.
Exactly.
And so really my book was really just 3 major kind of issues, I
But,
would say,
it was
in 3
interesting.
different parts. But that was done
I knew
totally
that. No,
intentional.
I was reading Dan's book, and admittedly, I don't actually sleep much. So I was reading your book at 3 o'clock in the morning,
Right.
and I'm reading and reading and reading, and I'm kind of saying to myself, "Gosh, I should get some sleep. How many more pages until the end of the chapter?" I said, "There's no chapters. When am I going to stop?" So my first thought was, damn that author. He can't put in a chapter. Doesn't he know he has to give me a break so I can go to sleep? And you do have little, paragraph breaks so that I can
Right,
see.
right.
And then the light bulb went on. And I said, you know what? These people are making this huge trek of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles, and it's endless. And that feeling of endlessness, I said, I bet that's why he doesn't want chapters, because it all made sense to me. And I realized visually now, the book, this is why visual, a book is not just words. And I said, God, he has that hold. Now I feel it. Instead of thinking, and then they did this and they did, and then they stopped. No, these people didn't stop. They couldn't stop because of safety issues and other issues. There was no rest. And for me, the reader, I felt that, and thank you. So I was annoyed first, and then I said, I get him.
Well, thank you, because it's a double-edged sword, because I took a chance. A
No,
lot of
no,
people-
I get
Some
that.
people say, even when I read a review, they'll say, "Why this book could probably use some chapters."
Well, you know
Well,
what? Tell those
you didn't-
people that I said
You didn't
no.
really get it. You know what I
That's
was
right.
trying to do.
Well, that's why I said my
Yeah.
first reaction was, where's the end of the damn chapter? And then I got it. And you know what? I'm going to go onto your page and start answering those people in those reviews and say, you didn't get it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you didn't get it. But you're absolutely right. And I think as authors, you do take those chances. And that was a big chance of yours. To have 200 solid pages without a chapter break is a big creative risk. And I thank you for doing it, because I think that looking back now, it would have been a huge missed opportunity if you would have had 25 mini chapters in there. So it's hard to deflect the critics who don't get you, but on a creative level, I thank you for taking the creative chance with that.
Thank you. Appreciate
Good
it.
job.
Thank you.
Good job. Now, I asked our authors who their favorite authors are, or at least books that they're reading or books that they would recommend. Mike brought my favorite thing that an author has ever brought. I'm gonna pass it over without you being able to see. Whoops. Because I've never had anyone bring this book to a show before. So, what is the book you are recommending to our viewers?
The dictionary. Think about it. All the other books are in here. How efficient is that, right?
That's right. You got everything.
It's all
right
in there.
in the
It's all in
dictionary.
there.
I love that. I love that.
That was the little humor to break the ice.
Yeah, I love it.
And this book I'm actually reading right now. It's from a local author from our authors group,
Oh, really? Okay.
Carrie Ann Flanagan Broski, and it's a book about. It's called The Historic Haunts of Long Island. Basically, the short stories about you know, it has paranormal stuff in which I'm a skeptical, but I love paranormal stuff.
I do too.
And so there's little stories, and it's full of, if you like Long Island, it's full of these kind of like, gee, I didn't know that about Long Island, or I didn't know that about the Montauk Lighthouse, or I didn't know
Right.
about that house. Oh, I didn't know it was haunted. I didn't know that George Washington slept there.
Or
that-
Lake Ronkonkoma with the whole story.
Oh,
behind
that whole right,
Yes.
exactly. So
That's all
that's
in
why I
there.
think it's just a neat book.
I think so,
It's
too.
a nice, an easy read.
Right.
And it's a fun book. So, and like I
Good.
said, if you're a Long Islander, I think you get a
Good
kick out of it.
recommendation. And Cassandra, what did you bring here?
This one's mine.
Okay, I had to go out to San Francisco without too much notice, and I purposely didn't bring a book with me, so I bought something in a bookstore at the airport, and I just couldn't.
I
put it-
love that airports have books. by the
couldn't
way.
I could not put it down. It's called Hillbilly Elegy, a memoir of a family and culture in crisis by a gentleman by the name of J.D. Vance. And it's really, in a way, it's his autobiography. How did this man this boy that was brought up in the hillbilly hills of Kentucky I think it's fair to say, super dysfunctional family, how did he climb out of that? And he tells you how he did, and tells you the really tragic story about why not too many people do climb out of
Right.
hillbilly
Wow.
country. And it's just, I think it's like sold 2 million copies. It's just-
Fantastic.
it's really, I would totally recommend it. It's also a comparative study of people in poverty.
Yeah, something for us to learn.
Yeah,
that,
it's
that
really
we're just not exposed to, which is great.
It's wonderful. Yeah,
Terrific.
So I highly recommend it.
Thank you. And Dan, what'd you bring?
Okay, keeping with the dystopian theme,
Ah,
of course. This is called Memory of Water. It's written by a Danish author. She also wrote another book called The Weaver. And it's written almost like in a poetic, lyrical fashion. And it's also like a very easy read. It's not going to be very heavy on your mind, except it's about a near future where there's limited water. And water wells are like very, 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 very valuable. And
thus
there's
the memory of water. Wow.
So it's called The Memory of Water. right.
Wow.
And it's about a woman who's like a tea master, and these tea masters in this kind of culture take care of all the water. And it's very, very interesting. It's written from a women's point of view. And again, it's very lyrical, and I definitely recommend it, especially when you think about that water and getting fresh water is an issue for many countries in the world.
You're right.
And this will become more of a problem going forward, maybe.
Absolutely.
So-
And we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be discussing The Great Gatsby, one of the most beloved books. Just came out on the list of the Great American Read as one of the top 20 books loved by Americans and read by students everywhere. So let's take a quick break and come back and discuss Gatsby.
The sun is getting warmer, but when we soar away among the clouds, the sky is just a border. But when we're floating up like helium,
Me llaman Dan Pablo y hace más de 20 años me enamoré de una colombiana. Viajé a su país y conocí un estilo de café muy distinto, muy especial. Ahora tostamos cafés excelentes, con alturas y microclimas diferentes, resultado en una taza muy compleja y muy rica, un sabor nuevo en el mundo. Fue un éxito. and I even got to keep the girl.
Welcome back! Welcome back to Between the Covers. Each week we're trying to pick a popular, beloved book and talk about it, hoping that you're going to read it and not just watch the movie. And I asked our authors, about a week or so ago, I gave them a list of different ideas, and they came back with Gatsby. Well, now that I read Mike's book, I know why, because he had a little allusion to the Great Gatsby in your book there. So I'm hoping we've got a real Gatsby lover out there. The Great Gatsby took place right here on Long Island in the Jazz era. Lots of Art Deco every place. I admit I read the book and never saw the movie. I know there's like 3 movies, and I never saw the movie. Any of you see any of the movies or just read the books?
No.
They're authors. They read the book. Good job. Good job. So let's look at our first slide here. And what I did on each of these slides is I put a different cover because the book has been out since 1923. And because it's been out for so long, there are so many different covers because every time it comes out in a new edition, there's a new cover. The cover you're seeing there, and I see you brought one here with this one, is the original cover.
Oh, really?
That's the original cover that they're seeing up there. And I put a little question there. Who is that on the cover? I wasn't sure myself who that was. I mean, it certainly doesn't look like Gatsby. It looks like a girl with the eyelashes.
She looks sad.
She does.
Like
She's got a
the,
tear.
the women in
Yeah.
the women in the book are
Everybody's sad in this book.
Yeah. It's sad.
It's funny. If you see the commercial, it makes it look like it's this opulent thing, and yet it's really sad. It's really a tragedy if you think about it. I put up there, have you ever been to any of these locations? Have you ever been to any of those big mansions on the North Shore, the 3 of you?
Just seen them from afar. Yeah.
No, you're not getting invited to parties up there. Is that what you're telling me?
I was trying to figure out what East Egg and West Egg, was.
I think that East Egg or West Egg is like the Port Washington
Okay.
one, and then East Egg is going to be the next one out.
Sands Point and
Right.
Kings Point, probably.
Actually, no, that's
No?
that's West Egg.
Oh, okay.
Sands Point and Kings Point are on West Egg because that's
Okay.
the same one as Great Neck.
Oh, okay.
So after West Egg, then the one after that is that Huntington and Northport on the next one out? Or Lloyd's Neck is out there. Yeah, the really, really, really big houses. And that's a big thing in there. They also talk about something called the Valley of Ashes a lot, which is like the terrible neighborhood. It kind of reminded me of your book.
Oh boy.
Let's look at the second slide, because this was a totally different book cover. In this book cover, they were focusing, the cover artist, on the money aspect. And I put up there as a question, can money buy you happiness? Can it? What do you think? I mean, it didn't in this book, and is this the American dream or the American nightmare?
So, I mean, there's so many American nightmares now, but it seems like people that are wealthy are targets for the crazies.
So it's good that we're not wealthy, huh?
I bless my simple life every day.
It's a really wild statistic, but you know how every once in a while you play, I don't know if you play regularly, but like the Mega Millions. I never play unless it's at least $500 million. Like, I don't want just 1 million. I want $500 million. So if I play, I happen to see the statistics, and 50% of the people who win one of those big jackpots are bankrupt within 5 years. And they also have a much higher rate of homicide or suicide. Like, people are killing them, or they're killing themselves, and they're all bankrupt. So evidently, winning the Mega Millions is actually the most dangerous job in America. It is more dangerous than being, a cop, a fireman, a soldier, any of those other high danger jobs. Winning the Mega Millions is more dangerous than that because 50% of them will have this horrible life in 5 years.
Well,
That's crazy.
interesting.
But then you have someone like Bloomberg, who just gave Johns Hopkins University $1 billion,
Right.
1.8.
which is you know, hopefully it'll be going to some sort of, you know, scientific research.
Right.
And where would we be without someone like him?
Without people with money, exactly.
Yeah.
Or I think of like Bill Gates, who gives so much money towards, he's eradicated like major diseases in Africa. The death rate is plummeting there because of all the money. Thank goodness.
And he plans on giving a lot, you know, when he's gone, they plan on giving the majority of their money to
Right.
charity.
Can you
and not-
imagine if you were Bill Gates' kid and he's like, yeah, you're not
You're going
getting
to
this.
get 10 million maybe.
Well, I'm sure he's not going to leave them destitute.
Oh, yeah, definitely not. Definitely not. But
I mean, he says they're not getting the money, but really, they're
yeah, they're
getting
going to get some of it, but apparently a relatively small percentage. And even Warren Buffett is supposedly doing the same thing.
I kind of like that. Like Bill
Yeah.
Gates has started shaming them all into being big donors
Yeah.
because people, well, in Gatsby's era, what did he do with the money? He threw parties. You know, he certainly was not giving to the poor.
Right.
Right.
You know, absolutely, he wasn't giving to the poor. And, you know, at the end of the book, he dies. I'm not giving anything away. You could read the book, you could watch 85 movies. It's not like your book. I'm not telling them what happened. But at the end of the book, he dies, and nobody comes to the funeral. You know, every night he had 1,000 people in his backyard at a party. And when he died, nobody came to the funeral.
So I guess that answers your question.
Exactly.
Money cannot buy happiness.
Money cannot buy happiness.
I think it depends what you do
You
with
can buy
your money
security,
again.
but it can't buy health
Right.
or anything else.
But also, if you have a lofty goal for your money, if you want to make money so that you can build a wing in a hospital to help,
Right.
you know, like kids with cancer, that's something I think that would be rewarding. I think he didn't have a rewarding life because all he did, he had this obsession with Daisy, and she wasn't really worth.
She wasn't worth it.
She wasn't worth
No,
all
you're
he
right.
did for that. He did so much to win over this person who, you know, she killed Myrtle and she whatever,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. She wasn't
It
a great
wasn't she
character.
wasn't the Holy Grail, you know. She wasn't worth.
She wasn't
And I
worth
think
it.
that's the key to it is
Yeah.
if you have some noble reason to develop wealth and do good with
But
it.
if it's just to squander it,
Right.
what's the point? What's our third slide up there? I have yet another book cover for Great Gatsby. Let's take a look at this last one. Oh, I loved this one because he's invisible. You know, I really loved the cover art for this one because you have this, you know, rich, well-dressed man, and he just doesn't matter. You know, and really, he didn't have those great aspirations you're talking about, so he really didn't matter. I put there in our questions: is Gatsby really great? Yeah, no.
I don't think so.
Does morality matter? How many murders take place in this book? How many bad things happen and nobody pays for it?
No.
You know, it's just whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Exactly. And well, I think that comes with wealth too. Things can be covered up.
Well,
and,
that's
you know,
true. That's true.
You know,
And then I put down there the final quote of the book, which is a great quote that I wanted to check out. The final quote is, "So we beat on, boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past." That's like what you said. Gatsby trying to be with Daisy. He just kept getting pulled back like a boat, that the waves keep pulling him back. You know, you're at the beach and the waves keep pulling him back. He couldn't let go. He couldn't let go. And, you know, has that ever happened to us, that there was something we should have let go?
Of course. It happens a lot to people.
It does.
Yeah.
And can't we see it so much better in other people? Like, I could look at a friend of mine and say, dump him, you know? And she's like, no. And I'm like, dump him. Trust me. But if it were me in that situation, I wouldn't see it. You know, are you that kind of a person that is the eyes for other people and say, do it? Whether it's dump him or write that book, or I'm glad you finally wrote your book. Some of your book was from like the 80s.
yes.
And it finally
Finally,
here.
yeah.
It's finally here. So, you know, that's the point, is not getting ceaselessly pulled back into the past. That's what happened in Gatsby. You know, he just didn't go forward. He didn't move any place. So if you haven't yet read The Great Gatsby, well, now you know he dies. I don't think that was a major shock. I don't think that was a major spoiler. I don't know. I didn't see the movie. Maybe he doesn't die in the movie. Isn't it DiCaprio?
And there were two versions. I think there was one with Redford. too.
Yeah, Robert Redford.
way.
I mean,
that-
whether
yeah.
or not he dies at the
Yeah.
end
Robert
is really going to have to
Redford,
do with
I
what's
think.
written into his contract, right?
Right, yeah.
3 versions? Is there another
Oh, I
version too?
only know of 2.
Alan Ladd. Okay, so you
Oh,
get
so
to
that's even.
so you get to
okay.
pick your actor. We can pick Alan Ladd,
Yeah.
Robert Redford, or Leonardo DiCaprio. Who knows? Maybe in one of the versions nobody dies. I have no idea. One of these days I'll have to watch it. Well, since we are blessed with having 3 authors on the set, we're going to play a little book mashup game. I don't know if any of you have ever worked. I know you were an English writing major. Do you ever work with other people at getting their creative juices going? And one technique that people will often use is kind of, just that random, let's start writing. I'm going to put some things on our board here. We're going to put who, what, and where. Because one way of getting the creative juices in writing is just to kind of be given a topic, a who, a what, or a where. So Dan, keeping this in mind, the who, the what, and the where, tell me about your book. Who does it happen to? Not the name, but the type. Where does it happen, and what happens?
Well, it happens to a climatologist,
Okay, so it's a scientist, because
scientist.
We'll go with a scientist.
Scientist.
we'll go with the
Okay.
scientist is the who.
And
And what happens?
basically gets displaced.
Okay, what happens?
dis-
Displaced. I'm also going to put, he has to go on like a long trip.
Okay.
We'll make it sound like that. He goes on a long trip.
Long trip.
And where does it happen?
San Antonio, Texas.
Okay, it happens in Texas and eventually in Mexico.
Mexico.
Okay, Cassandra. Who?
Who? The nice Jewish girl.
The nice Jewish girl. Oh, I like where this is going. Okay, so we have a nice Jewish girl. Okay. And what and where?
Fall from Innocence.
Oh! Fall from Innocence in Amsterdam.
And where else?
In Amsterdam. Okay, and Mike, let's see if we could sum up yours. Yours is a little bit of a cacophony, so you might
Well,
have
that's
to
a
help
little
us here.
difficult because there's a couple of short stories
Right.
and stuff. I could maybe pick one of them.
Pick one of them, or you had anything from the Beatles on down in yours. So
Yeah, so let's, okay, let's say man from Liverpool.
okay, Liverpoolian,
A Liverpoolian.
a liver.
A Liverpoolian.
A Liverpudlian. Our audience is saying Liverpudlian. And this is going to be an audience participation game. So Liverpudlian, I like that. Okay, a Liverpudlian, and what happens to our Liverpudlian?
He meets the Beatles and helps them out a little bit.
Ooh, meets the Beatles, or helps the Beatles. I
Helps
like
the
that.
Beatles. Okay.
Helps the Beatles. And in England.
In England. Where
In
else?
England. Okay, so we have our options here. Sometimes when we do this, you can end up with like 6 in each column, but since we have 3 authors here, what we're going to try to do is come up with a story that takes one from each column, but not necessarily the same book. So you could have a scientist who's falling from innocence in England.
Okay.
We could have a Liverpudlian who is displaced in Amsterdam or something. Do we have anybody who could write us? We have authors on the set, and we have a rowdy audience. Anybody who could give us a synopsis of a book that involves any of these 3 items? Any takers there? I am virtually certain that the fall from innocence is going to be used in somebody's. Any takers on this? I got authors here. We should be creative. I definitely think I should go with the scientist falling from innocence because, Any ideas? No ideas about our scientist? Or our
Let the
Liverpudlian?
scientist fall in love with a nice Jewish girl.
Oh, okay.
Fall from innocence in San Antonio.
Oh, okay. So we can have the scientist and the nice Jewish girl Maybe they met at MIT. I don't know. Where did they meet? At the bagel shop?
I've got an idea.
At a
You
bar
got an
mitzvah?
idea?
I think it uses all 9.
All 9. You better come up here then.
Go.
Up.
Up.
Where am I going?
Oh, there's a microphone right there too.
Do I just hold it?
Come on over
Am I
here.
sitting with you?
Sit down
Sit
here.
right down here.
All
Hello.
right.
How you doing?
Hi. This is my son JK.
Nice to meet you.
Home from college and trying to be creative here. So,
All right,
give us a
so-
story.
I'm picturing this. A nice Jewish girl
Okay.
who is going to college in Amsterdam. And she's a massive Beatles fan. Absolutely massive Beatles fan. However, because of her massive Beatles fanning, she decides to go on a long
Fannying.
I don't know. She's a big fan. She goes on a long trip to England to go meet the Beatles, but gets displaced on the way to go to Texas, where she meets a guy from Liverpool who was displaced on his way to Amsterdam. So he was in a
Boy,
reverse
these
journey.
airports are just.
This guy from Liverpool's a scientist, and he teaches her that it's not about loving people for their talent, but loving what's in the heart.
Because all you need is
Very
love.
good.
Da, 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 da.
I see a budding writer. A budding writer.
We got a budding writer over
Right
here.
Write
Be-
that book.
Because
Yeah,
yes, write that
Write
book.
that down.
Because all you need is love. I know. I read the book. All right, let's take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with our authors. Very cool. Do you have a book, either in your head or on your desk, just waiting to get out to anxious readers? Hi, I'm Stephanie Larkin, author, book developer, and head penguin at Red Penguin Books. We're a publishing company specializing in books of all genres and publishing in all formats, including digital, audible, and print books. From business books to romance, memoirs to mysteries, our authors have complete control over their books from start to print. We'll help get your book to booksellers all around. Major booksellers such as Amazon, Apple, Kobo, Walmart, even libraries and bookstores around the world. We believe in our authors. So call or email today to get your free publisher's packet to get started. Just visit us at redpenguinbooks.com and get your book out there and into the hands of your readers. At Red Penguin Books, you call all the shots. So call us today and turn your dreams into a reality.
Me llaman Dan Pablo y hace más de 20 años me enamoré de una colombiana. Viajé a su país y conocí un estilo de café muy distinto, muy especial. Ahora tostamos cafés excelentes, con alturas y microclimas diferentes, resultado en una taza muy compleja y muy rica. Un sabor nuevo en el mundo. Fue un éxito. And I even got to keep the girl.
Welcome back to Between the Covers. If you want to get a jump start on next week's book of the week, shall we say, is going to be The Chronicles of Narnia. The Chronicles of Narnia was just listed in the top 10 most beloved books, and we are going to be covering The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And don't worry, there's a movie. So if you want to watch the movie or read the book so you're all caught up, it's The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe for next week. So I was checking out some book news. Now, don't we wish these are our numbers? They just announced that Michelle Obama's new book is the fastest selling book of 2018. It sold more than 725,000 copies on the first day. Wouldn't that be amazing if
Have
that
to
happened?
run for president. Okay.
Now, I don't know if this is a political statement, but her book outsold Bob Woodward's book, Fear, Trump in the White House. So, you know, if we're trying to look at where the elections might go in the future, her book is selling higher. Interestingly enough, her book is the fastest selling book since 2015, when Harper Lee's book, the To Kill a Mockingbird other book.
Right, yeah.
Did any of you read that?
No.
The Ghost Set a Watchman?
I did.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
Any
yeah,
thoughts?
It was good. No, it was very good.
Because
Yeah,
it sold
I would
like
suggest it.
hotcakes.
I would suggest it. yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, is it before To Kill a Mockingbird or after To Kill a Mockingbird?
I'm not quite sure that I remember.
Okay.
But it was very good.
It was good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, it sold a
Yeah.
lot. So somebody out there read it because it sold like hotcakes. And did any of you read the Michelle Obama book? Well, so we are not among the 725,000 that bought it on the first day, but somebody is out there reading, which I love because somebody's reading something, or they're just buying it because they think it looks nice on their coffee table.
But what is #1 book of all time? I think on Amazon, isn't that the 50 Shades of?
No, it's not 50 Shades. Actually, the biggest
that's
selling non-fiction book of all times is actually the Bible. That's of non-fiction, and the highest selling fiction book, I believe, is Don Quixote.
Oh, really?
So yeah, 50 Shades is not even close. That mean that
I
sold
thought I
like
read
hotcakes,
somewhere
but it only sold in brown paper bags.
You're right.
Well, I think Cassandra's book sells in brown paper bags too, but that's a whole nother issue. Well, before we go for the day, would you just remind us of where we can find your books and hold it up so our readers know where to go?
Sure. Most people buy the book on Amazon.com. You can get it as either an ebook or you can get it as a paperback.
Okay. Going Dutch you can get on Amazon or in paperback or on my website, www.goingdutchthebook.com.
Love that. GoingDutchTheBook.com. Excellent.
And you can get my book also on Amazon.com.
Amazon. Well, 85% of all books
Yeah.
are sold on Amazon nowadays, so yes. Amazon.com, and the title of the book? What
was I thinking? With a subtitle, I Buried Paul: The Story of the Six Beatles, and other. I don't have my reading glasses on.
I had to hold it
and
over here.
other short fiction, poetry, and song lyrics.
I love that, an author who's not sure of his subtitle. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Between the Covers, and we'll see you next week. And remember, read a book. Thanks for joining us.